Hey, sorry, it took me a second to figure that out.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm really grateful and I'm really glad to have your expensive and precious time. Can you just give your phone horizontally so that it will be really easy to look?
Oh, yes.
Thank you so
Sorry.
much. It seems like a dream to me, finally, because this is for the first time in my life I've never talked to anyone outside of India, particularly like you, one of the most prominent yoga instructor in Los Angeles, California. This is my fortunate, and this is my this is really a biggest opportunity for the first time that I'm getting uh, time from you to take a little interview to do this live conversation. So,
It's my pleasure. You're
so
so cute.
thank you so much. And actually, there are many questions that I have right now. I wouldn't take much time because I know how expensive and how busy you all, like you stay all the day. So it is extremely difficult to get time out from your busy schedule. And I'm really lucky that I got it. And
Oh,
ultimately, right now we are talking, and it is unbelievable for me. I'm really telling you, it is unbelievable for me. I didn't know that you'd accept this and you'd agree to do this with me. Thank you so much again. And
thank
I
you. I
have,
mean, I'm amazed by what you can do. Watching your videos, I'm like,
I'm also really interested, and I really like to do yoga also. And before some days, before some years, I started also integrating yoga in my life. But I would like to ask some questions. When did you introduce yourself to yoga? Like, when did you um, get, and when did you thought that yes, this is the time that when I should include yoga as a part of my life. Just tell me something about your
right.
experience, about your beginning.
Okay. I found yoga very much on accident.
Okay.
I used to go to the gym for like 3 or 4 hours a day. And
All
there was somebody there who kept telling me, try yoga, try yoga, try yoga. I'm like, my vision of yoga was sitting on the floor and humming. So I'm like, there's no way I'm ever trying yoga. And I broke my toe one day. And so I couldn't do like gym things. So as my foot was healing, but not ready to bike or run or anything like that, I'm like, okay, I'll try this stupid yoga thing. This was in the middle of August of 2001, and
Oh,
yeah, so it was a significant time. Well, first of all, like the very first class, it spoke to me on such a visceral and personal level that I was like, this is everything I've ever needed, like in one class, everything in my life. And then um, I took to it very, very immediately. And of course, a few weeks later, as we know, was 9/11. And just, I think it was a really important time to find yoga. And it sort of helped to give me the comfort or the stability that I needed at a time when it felt like the whole world was sort of imploding around me. So I think the timing was quite relevant, and that perhaps had I found yoga at a different time, it may not have taken root to the extent that it did.
oh, it is really, really inspiring and motivating. Definitely, it is. And I think most of the people, those who introduced with yoga in their life, they also might have faced or experienced some situations like you. So my next question is like in a country like India, we known for the second most populated country in the world, and here most of the people they're suffering from different kinds of chronic ailment, different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of physical and mental, psychological and physiological imbalances in their life due to sedentary lifestyle, activity. Physical activity is less, and their job and their busy schedule is just a kind of killing them. So in this
Yeah.
condition, how one can integrate yoga in their life and how yoga can help them, particularly in this particular condition.
Right. Well, I mean, what you're describing, I think anybody with any sort of sociological background is going to say is the same exact profile that we have here in America. People are getting more obese and people are getting more sedentary. And, you know, what we see in the media, which is, you know, all beautiful people and everybody takes perfect care of themselves and eats well and exercises. It's no different here than it is there. So,
Okay.
so for what it's worth, I think maybe one thing that is different in America is that physical fitness is definitely a big part of our culture. Like we have a very sports oriented culture. I think, I guess every country does, but most countries have one or two big sports, maybe cricket and soccer, for example. But here it's like, you know, if you're not playing the sport, at least you're sitting and watching it all day on TV.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
but the truth is that ultimately, I think when it comes to fitness, whether it's in India or whether it's in America, you need to want to be healthy. You know, otherwise it's going to be a very unpleasant situation. And then B, you want a pleasant situation, right? You want something that you enjoy. And I think that the beauty of yoga is there's so many different forms of yoga. There's truly something for everybody, including people who just like to sit around. Because there's like more relaxing forms of yoga, say yin yoga or some restorative yogas that at least will still have the mental benefits and also a lot of physiological benefits. Because remember that physical fitness is very often a ramification of mental wellness, right?
Okay.
And this is like the beauty of yoga over most sports, so to speak. Yoga is not a sport, but a lot of people approach it as just, let's say, an alternative to the gym. But yoga, by integrating the mental aspects of the practice, helps to keep you healthier in your mind, because a healthier mind also helps to create a healthier body.
Particularly as you said that as around the world that people are taking yoga as just an exercise. It is not an exercise, as you recently said. So I would like to ask some question related to pranayama, because pranayama is a kriya. It is related to breathing patterns, the way that we keep our breathings and the way we work with our breathing. It is really important. So how do you define it? What is pranayama and how one can improve his life or her life, including pranayama in his practice?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have a book on the science of breathing. I believe it was by Yogi Gupta, who was Dharma Mitra's teacher, who basically claims that pranayama can cure any disease on earth, including death.
Yes.
And it's true.
Exactly. It is true. It is true.
Breathing does cure death. If you suddenly start breathing, you're no longer dead. So prana is our life force, our life energy, right? And it's the energy we bring in from outside as we, to put it in the most simple terms, inhale, right? And if you just take a deep breath now, even if you don't know anything about pranayama, if you just take a deep breath, you can feel how your body like gets energetic, it gets filled, right? So pranayama, which is, yama means control or even restraint, is literally like the inhales bring in the energy, right? The exhales release tension, and our breathing obviously is something that happens on its own, right? I mean, we'd be in real trouble if we had to think about breathing.
Yeah, yes, definitely it is happening all the time.
So when we pay attention to the process of breathing, then we are mindfully bringing in the energy that we need and releasing the tension that we want to get rid of, right? And so
Exactly.
pranayama, for somebody who knows nothing about pranayama, can be as simple as breathe deeply. However you define it, however you think of it, just breathe deeply, right? So
Yes.
for me, though, my primary pranayama is the Ujjayi breath. Are you familiar with Ujjayi?
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
about it. Ujjayi is a really wonderful pranayama.
Yeah. I think it's like, I always say, if I were like caught on a deserted island with just one piece of yoga, what would it be? And everybody thinks I'd say handstands, but the actual answer is Ujjayi breath. Do you want me to explain it, or I could explain it briefly if people want to learn it a little bit? I also have a video on YouTube that explains it.
One thing I think Ujjayi is called the breath of fire. It's
Yeah.
energized in a certain way.
Yeah.
Particularly, most of the people, they're aware of physical postures and physical aspects of yoga. But when it's about pranayama, when it's about working on your breath, it's it's not like people are investing their life to learn something more about pranayama, because a whole lot of people, they're always going mad about doing postures as an exercise. Because see, what else we are getting in yoga, whatever we are doing in gym, whatever we are doing in any other sports and athletic exercises, the only thing that we cannot find in any other exercise, that is pranayama. So yoga has really a wonderful aspect of it, and only because of pranayama, we can have a really, as you recently said, if somebody is practicing pranayama, that person can, control his death and his living completely.
Yeah.
So it is really a wonderful thing that you said. One more thing I would like to
And,
know about it.
oh,
Yeah.
yes. No, I want
Uh,
to say some other things about pranayama.
yeah.
But
Yes.
go
Yes.
ahead. Did
Yes.
you have another? Yeah, no, what I was going to say is like pranayama is truly the foundation of the whole practice. If you don't
Okay.
have a specific breath with your asana practice, you literally are not practicing yoga, right? Yoga asana practice has to have both components. And to your point is that people are trying to do all these fancy poses as if it's the ends, but really it's just the means, right? When we think about the hierarchy of what's important in yoga, if you look at the Ashtanga of Patanjali, really
Yes.
asana is, well, the first two are yama and niyama, right? Which is your code for living. You can't do anything if you don't have a code for living, right? Because yoga is so much bigger than handstands.
Yes.
But
Yes.
then there's a hierarchy of what's important. And it starts with asana, which means it's the least important thing in the hierarchy of yoga. By far, by far. It's only mentioned really twice in the Yoga Sutras. Right? And then we have our pranayama. Then we have three forms of meditation. And then you have enlightenment. Yes, it might start with asana, but asana is not yoga. Asana is a tiny component of what the breath of yoga really is.
It is really wonderful. Now, this is the message that each and every person should know. Whoever is learning yoga in their life, if somebody is introduced or if somebody is aware of yoga, they should know just postures is not, that cannot define the entirety of yoga. There are much more to it.
Yes.
One more thing I would like to ask, in Los Angeles, California, United States, how people are responding to your teachings. The way that you're teaching, I have seen a lot of videos of yours on Instagram, on YouTube also. The kind of dedication, the kind of advanced teachings that you have, it's really amazing. So I'm just willing to ask you one thing, how people are responding out there.
Well, I teach a lot on travel. I actually, in Los Angeles, I'm really just a private instructor. So when I work privately, quite honestly, it's whatever they want to work on. So a lot of my private students are not doing the crazy stuff that that you see on my my Instagram and my YouTube. That stuff is more stuff I teach when I'm teaching on travel, when I'm teaching workshops. And
Okay.
it's funny, people always think that, because I can get just about anyone into just about any pose. And people always think like I teach at like this really high level. But the fact is, I actually teach children. And so when I teach people, the reason they understand me is not because I'm teaching them as if they're really smart. It's because I'm teaching them like they're 3.
Okay.
So,
All right.
listen, I always bring a really lighthearted energy to my teaching, because I think that people take this practice this practice meaning asana, too seriously. Again,
Yes.
asana is a vehicle, and if it's not enjoyable, I don't think it's really serving its purpose. And so,
Definitely.
yeah, when I started, I was so intense. I was just like, it has to be this way, and you have to have focus every second. And in my practice, I'm super classical that way. But what I found was that when I teach at that super intensive level, if you take the intensity on teaching and put it on top of incredible intensity of practice, it becomes very overwhelming, right? So now my formula is intense practice, but lighthearted delivery. And that way, everyone feels listened to, everyone feels like they are a part of the process and that it's accessible to them. And I take a lot of joy in other people's successes. So when I teach, my goal is to make sure that everybody else is getting what they need out of the workshop. I think a lot of people sort of teach for themselves or teach for their egos, that it's their own process. But for me, when I'm teaching, I really try to make it about my students' processes.
That's a really wonderful line that you've said. It's really you're compassionate. You're really very kind to others. The level of flexibility that you have acquired with your body, it is extremely difficult for a common person to achieve that kind of perfection. So definitely, I sometimes wonder, will I be able to do it what Sana Mams does? I don't think I will be able to do it ever, but I'll
Well,
definitely try.
Well, first of all, there's no perfection in this practice. The other beauty of asana practice is it's all about the effort, really. And I think in a way, like, I know that I've become a part of sort of the game as far as Instagram is concerned.
Yeah.
But I get sad at how many people, their goal on Instagram or whatever is to look pretty, because that is never what yoga was meant to be about, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
you want
definitely.
alignment because alignment keeps you safe and the
Yes.
poses make you healthy, but you don't want perfect alignment because you need to look good in a photograph. And I think that's sort of the sad thing about where yoga is right now, is the showmanship aspect of it, which has, for the most part, lost all classical elements of what yoga really was intended to be.
Your endeavor to say something that you have acquired, dedicating your life towards it. Your endeavor to teach yoga to the entire world. So we are here. If we will look here, we have different options in social media. We have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and other social media. But one social media platform is the biggest among all, and that is YouTube. YouTube is something that has changed my life, and already, as you can see, that is a silver button award that already have gotten after
Oh, how
achieving
cool.
100,000 subscribers on my channel. Already have completed, and this is for the first time. It is one of the biggest achievements of my life, and it's something I cannot express through words. So we have a big platform through which, if something that we are willing to teach the entire world at one shot, we can teach. So how do you define YouTube platform, and what do you see? Do you see any possibility that you can share whatever you know to the entire world in this YouTube platform?
Well, I mean, here's the thing about YouTube. First of all, let me just say that my Instagram is all just like yoga playground, just messing around and doing crazy, stupid things.
That's
But
wonderful.
well, sometimes I wonder, because I really am the poster girl of classical yoga, but my Instagram is the opposite. But my YouTube is my vehicle for teaching real yoga, right? And
Yeah.
I think the possibilities, of course, are vast. The problem is people's uh, attention spans. That
Yes.
once Instagram became so popular, people decided they wanted less than 1 minute tutorials instead of 15-minute tutorials, because again, the goal has been sort of less about learning the deeper aspects of the practice, more about how do I look in a bikini on a beach in a pose, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I wish more people would turn back to YouTube to get some more in-depth information instead of the superficiality. You know, YouTube is obviously a treasure and there's so much information. Really, you can learn just about anything you want to learn in the entire world. You know, I think the only sort of shortcoming of reaching the world is in order to teach on YouTube, you're supposed to upload your own dialogue, right? So that they could
Yes.
translate it.
Yes.
And that would take me the rest of my life.
No, no, no.
And
The level of intensity that you have, the level of willingness that you have, I'm really sure that one day, maybe not the entire world, maybe not 7 point some billion people, maybe half, like 3.5 billion people, maybe they will get to learn something from you. And
that would
definitely,
that'd be amazing.
why I'm telling this, see, I have seen many yogis and many yoginis, the kind of yoga instructors and the kind of yoga teachers I have seen in India. I've seen many people here, but the level of dedication, the level of flexibility, the level of work, the advanced level of things that you do, whatever I have seen so far with your social media and blogs, it is amazing. That's why
Thank you.
I was other recently from the beginning of this conversation, I said to you, it seems like a dream talking to you because I have never done this before. And I really owe to you for this. I don't know, like, how do you take it, but this is something very special for me. And it's really very special for my people. And yes, I would like to ask one more question. What do you think about India? If in future you'll get a chance to come in India and to teach, then how do you approach it? And what kind of sequences would you program to teach particularly Indian people?
Well, I mean, first of all, obviously, India is steeped in tradition, right? You guys are a country that everything is based on tradition and history in a way that we don't have in America. So I think that Indians have obviously like a predisposition towards yoga. And from what I understand, even children, even if they're not doing asana or doing pranayama meditation in different aspects of yoga, even while they're in school, is that true? Because just about everyone I've talked to from India has said that they practiced yoga as children, but they didn't necessarily do asana. I love
Yeah.
that attitude because in America, basically yoga is nothing but asana, right? And
Yes, yes, yes.
so I think that because of that, you know, Indians are receptive to the practice. It is your practice. And if I were to come to India, which, oh boy, would I love to come to India. It's one of the few places, ironically, I've not taught. I would love to be able to talk on both the physical and spiritual levels. Because when I'm teaching in the Western world, I might get into a little bit of philosophy, but mostly it's just a physical endeavor, right? You put your hands here, you
Yes.
put your foot here, you whatever. When I first started teaching, I used to teach so much like philosophy with the asana, right? And
Yeah.
I loved it so much. To me, the philosophy is the beauty of the practice. And what happened was people told me, "Shut up, you talk too much." And
No, not like that.
no, actually, just like that. And when you get told that enough times, it goes. And so now, because of, I guess, what I've accomplished on a physical level, my students tend to be people who are really only concerned with the physical practice. I hate to say it. And so now, like, my teaching doesn't have that much philosophy in it anymore. And it's sad for me because it's 100% what's important to me. But you also have to speak to what your students want, right? I mean, it's not about, if I just keep babbling, nobody's gonna want to learn anything I have to say. I do have the gift of gab. So if I came to India, I would really love to be able to reintegrate the philosophy with the asana instead of pretending that this is a practice that only cares if you could do a handstand.
Definitely, it is something that, as you recently said, Indian are really receptive towards spiritual aspects in yoga, particularly because whenever we talk about spirituality, it seems like something before making our body, mind, and emotion ready. We need to understand what are the basic and fundamental things, and that can only be understood with some philosophies about it, without explaining of certain things before introducing someone, particularly a newcomer who do not know anything about yoga.
Right.
Philosophies and some some lectures are required. Maybe I know that, I understand. We are like in so-called modern world or westernized societies, they do not see it. They only
Right.
see the only physical and posture aspect of it. We only want tidbits. We do not want to
Right.
spend time because we do not have time. So this is a very wrong approach.
I
In this
agree.
way, in this way, yoga will never help to benefit someone. This can never be possible. Really, you really wonderfully explained it. Last question I would like to ask you, because I'm really taking your much time, and
Oh, it's my pleasure. You're such a
uh,
joy to talk to, and I love your smile.
thank you so much. Lastly, this question is about spirituality. What do you think about spirituality, and how do you define it?
Yeah, so this is a question that I get a lot in America because when I started teaching yoga, which was about 20 years ago, especially with religious people, there was a lot of question about, is yoga religion? Is it Hinduism? Is it going to conflict with my fill in the blank, my Christianity, my Catholicism, my Judaism, my whatever? And the way that I explained it to them, and I still explain it now, is that no, religion is your relationship to God, and spirituality is your relationship to the universe. And
Yes.
yoga is really focused on our relationship to the universe. Now, if we look into the classical text, of course, there's a very, very, very deep rooted belief in God. It's an integral to the practice, right? When you look at the sutras of Patanjali, the highest form, or let's say the last step of the Ashtanga, right, is submission to a higher power, right?
Masamadhi.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, Samadhi is bliss. Yeah. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm so sorry. Samadhi is bliss, and that comes from the submission to higher power. Sorry. The last of the niyamas is Ishvara Pranidhana, which is
Ishwar Pranidhana,
submission
yes,
to
yes.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So, but from submission to a higher power comes the Samadhi. Sorry, the last limb of the Ashtanga. But why is this important? Because Ishvara Pranidhana says you must submit to a higher power, but it never defines that power. And I
Yes,
think
yes.
that's incredibly important because yoga is all inclusive. If you're Christian, it will bring you closer to your Christianity. If you're Catholic, it'll bring you closer to your Catholicism. If you're Jewish, it'll bring you closer to your Judaism. If you're Hindu, it will take you closer to your Hinduism. If you're Buddhist, right, it will take you closer to your Buddhism. If you're Muslim, it will take you closer to Islam, right? Like it's so beautiful that, so my spirituality, yes, it has to be rooted in understanding there's something greater than me in the universe, right? Man did not create the world or the universe, right? But at the same time, there's a universality of yoga, the spirituality of yoga, which is all about kindness to the world around me. And really, honestly, at the root of it all, being a good person.
Definitely. This is something that, for me personally, I'm telling, this is something, whatever information that you have given so far, it is extremely important for me because I also didn't know all the things that you have said. It's something that really touched. And I hope also my subscribers and the people that they're following me in India, they'll also get the same thing, whatever you expressed and whatever you explained. The informations will really help them before integrating yoga in their life because these are simple things. We do not understand it. We just do something just closing our eyes and we do not get benefits and we complain about it. So before understanding fundamentals, if we do something, then definitely it will not work. So something that works, that's how we do it. And this is how the way you have said everything, each and every sentence, each and every word makes sense. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to talk to you, and it's my pleasure. I'm really grateful and glad to have you. And I would request to all my subscribers, please visit her channel. Already have given her channel link in my descriptions. And what would you like to tell about my YouTube channel and my subscribers and about India lastly?
I just want to say that really I'm blown away by the things that you do. And I think that everybody on earth has his or her own gifts. And yoga is just about dedication of your mind, body, and spirit to the same effort. And whatever it is that you do, if it turns out to be yoga, asana, or amazing dancing and acrobatics, or whatever, cricket, it doesn't matter. If you put it all together with your mind, body, and your spirit, that's sort of the secret to happiness.
Definitely. Thank you so much. It is right now night time, and definitely I'm going to have a wonderful and blissful sleep because I had a wonderful time with you, and I wish you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.